we will move on to the next presentation from Stephanie Williams from EPSRC. I didn't put up earlier my thank you slides, which if Stephanie doesn't get up before me, I might get up on screen, which was just to say, yeah, you know, thanks to all our presenters today, and obviously the EPSRC made this possible by sponsoring the grants in the future formulation of complex products. So at that point, Stephanie, are you there?
Hi, yes, I am here.
Good, good, good. It's always a relief to see. So if you want to share your screen, that would be great.
Yeah. Do you need to stop sharing yours first?
You should just be able to keep me off, but I will.
That's fine. Okay.
Great, you're coming up. Yep, I can see your screen. If you just go full screen of the presentation, then looking good.
Great. Is that looking okay?
That looks great. Over to you.
Okay. Hi, everyone. So my name's Stephanie Williams. I'm from EPSRC, which, as you know, is a research council under UKRI. I probably met quite a lot of you last year when I'd only recently started as portfolio manager for process manufacturing and medicines manufacturing. So that makes me the portfolio manager with oversight of this portfolio of projects. So thanks very much for having me. I'm just going to be very brief, I expect, and allow everyone to get off for lunch. But I just thought I'd cover a few key highlights, and then hopefully we can have some time for questions. Hopefully at some point my email address will pop up as well, so that you can email me with anything that you'd like to ask me that we don't have time to cover today. So just to give you a quick overview of the team I sit in, so these projects were sponsored by the Manufacturing the Future theme at EPSRC. We have a recent change in head of manufacturing. Many of you will have known Katie Daniel, so she's now one of our deputy directors, and Lydia Gardner has been our head of manufacturing since January this year. We have a few other staff members and their responsibilities are up here, and if anyone wants to get in touch with any of them, do just ask me for their contact details, and that's me, so process and medicines manufacturing. I just put up these guys' names as well because I know that there's a lot of multidisciplinary working in these projects, so these might be your preferred contacts. So EPSRC has a priority framework which we're working to at the moment, and you'll be very familiar with a lot of our priorities. Traditionally, manufacturing has contributed to what we call the productive nation goal under the first lot of headings, but I think it's becoming increasingly clear that we have relevance as a theme to many of the EPSRC goals, and I think particularly in light of the present crisis, it's clear that manufacturing has a lot to contribute, especially to the healthy nation outcome. Just a very quick look at what we're doing within the theme at the moment. Some of you may have applied via responsive mode to the manufacturing theme before, and you'll know that we used to have batching dates, which was sort of mini deadlines, not quite deadlines, but something to aim for. This was causing us quite a lot of operational difficulties because it led to a lot of proposals being submitted at the same time. So mainly for that reason, we've removed these batching dates. But manufacturing accepts responsive mode proposals, as do all other EPSRC themes, well, almost all of them. So do please continue to submit your standard research proposals. We recently funded 2 groups of projects under the Future Manufacturing Systems call, so those are just getting underway. We've also we're coming to the end of a period of reassessing our manufacturing research priorities. This has been as a result of, sorry, I have a very noisy neighbour who's just started playing her music, so sorry if you can hear that. Noise complaints have been filed. So we've been refreshing our priorities over the last couple of years. And this has led to some new priorities being found recently, which should hopefully be published soon. Based on some of those priorities, we're launching some calls. So you may have noticed last year, or perhaps the year before, we had an adventurous manufacturing call. So this isn't linked to a particular priority, but it was, we thought it was a success. And so we've opened round 2 of the adventurous manufacturing call. So these are small projects which are for high risk, high reward manufacturing research. And I'll touch on the other strategic calls that we have open soon. That is very loud music. Okay, so a couple of UKRI activities. You might be interested in our UKRI sustainability strategy, which was published in, I think, May. So that contains several commitments. For example, by 2025, we're aiming to have embedded environmental sustainability across all of our investment decisions. We also have the UKRI COVID-19 research call open, and I'll talk about that later. I'll probably skip over that. So future and current funding opportunities. At the moment, we've got a responsive manufacturing call open, and this is directly linked to one of our new priorities in responsive manufacturing. So this priority has come out of many discussions with the community. But we think that it has particular salience at the moment because systems that we would like to describe as responsive manufacturing systems inherently may be more resilient to disruption, and they are also potentially able to contribute to improved sustainability. There is a call document on the website, and this was opened, I think, last Monday, and I'm the named contact for the call. So if you're interested in that call, do you just drop me a line, or preferably read the call document first, and there's a lot more description there. I mentioned the Adventurous Manufacturing Round 2, which is also open. And we're also going to be opening a call in precision manufacturing soon. I think this might be slightly further away from your areas of interest, but do look out for that. I mentioned responsive mode. Responsive mode routes are always open through the main EPSRC themes, and this includes opportunities to apply for funding for standard research, NIAs, fellowships, networks, overseas travel grants. You can still apply for overseas travel grants, even in the current climate. And if you're not sure about REMIT, do just use the REMIT inquiry service or drop us an email. I wanted to just flag these, although most people are probably quite familiar with the FLFs now. I think it's too late to apply for round 5 now, but I've written down where the round 6 deadline is. So if you know anyone that might be interested in that opportunity, it's quite good because it's across the whole of UKRI remit, and there's no particular siloing of funds or worrying about remits of individual councils. So do look into that if you're interested. I just wanted to talk briefly about the COVID-19 situation as well. We are open, and we all started working from home right at the beginning of the crisis, and we've been doing our best to keep business as usual running, whilst also taking into account the effect on the community of the current situation. So we have done things like making no-cost extensions available for grant holders. Open calls have had their deadlines delayed. And of course, there is the open call for research and innovation to address the impacts of COVID-19. So I'm sure you'll have seen that, but just in case you haven't, this is an open call to either repurpose existing funds or to apply for new research funding from UKRI, and this is for short-term projects that will have short-term impact on the current situation. It's not just kind of direct medical research, there's lots of things, a wide range of research topics which are of interest. And there is actually a document which lists questions of particular interest, so that could be worth a look. And some are directly relevant to manufacturing. I should add also on the COVID front that in terms of business as usual, we're running many of our panels virtually. So, responsive mode is still basically running as normal. It takes a little bit more of an effort from staff and panelists, but panels via Zoom seem to be working well. Let me just see if I can minimize that. Great. So I just wanted to talk very briefly about the formulation project as a whole. So you'll be very aware that many of the projects are coming towards their natural ends, and I don't know if many of you have applied for extensions because of COVID or anything else. But at any rate, I think we're probably at the stage where it's worth mentioning about potential opportunities to share success from these projects. So UKRI is really keen to be able to better articulate the story of funding for science and engineering. This is part of our advocacy piece for funding for engineering and physical sciences generally. There is a spending review coming up, and we want to be able to demonstrate that EPSRC funding is achieving real outcomes and impacts. So to that end, we would welcome any case studies or anecdotes where you feel it helps us to tell that story. So this could be anything that you feel is relevant. It could be influencing a policymaker, leveraging some money from industry, and causing the creation of employment opportunities, developing a new product, taking part in some public engagement, being on a news show, leading to agile responses to COVID. Anything like that we'd be really interested in, and it does help us, as I said, to be advocates for the importance of engineering and physical sciences research. It doesn't need to be something huge, but we'd love to hear from you. You can email me, or that's probably the best idea. I realise I don't think I've put up my email address yet, but that is stephanie.williams@EPSRC.
Stephanie, I put it in the chat for you.
Oh, that's really helpful, thank you. So you can email me, that's probably the best thing to do. And if you're not sure if it falls under that category, email me anyway, and I'll get back to you. So let's see. That's just about everything I was going to talk about, which is good because we've come to 12:30. There's obviously lots of other things going on in UKRI, but do ask if there's time for any
questions.
Is there time?
There's time for a little bit, yes, Stephanie. A couple in the chat, just quickly. Gigesha was asking about the COVID-19 is a 10-day response time. That's correct. It's a very rapid response, isn't it?
It is a very rapid response. I wasn't entirely aware of the 10 days, but we do try to turn everything around really quickly. So things don't go to panels. They're reviewed internally as quickly as possible, and then they're sent to reviewers. And I've processed a couple of them, and they do get turned around very quickly.
Great. Okay, super. And then Paul Swift was asking about the really, how does EPSRC the research outputs of the future formulation projects, versus the objectives of the original call, and beyond capturing the impact, are there plans or discussions to create a new formulation specific call based on this?
So I think that's almost two questions. So absolutely, we're interested in capturing the impacts, and I think that it would be useful for us to do some work at looking at how that compares to the objectives of the original call. I'm afraid there are currently no plans to have another similar call in the immediate future. As I've said, I think we'd really encourage you to look at the many options for kind of open calls, such as responsive mode, and if for some reason what you want to do isn't able to be catered for by any of those routes, please do talk to us about that. But there's no immediate plans to do another call like this.
Great, okay, thank you, Stephanie. I think that's all the questions we have in the chat. I think, as you said, you're keen on capturing the outputs from there. I guess a specific question, so one more just popped in. Yeah. Would you advise people to go for the responsive project on COVID-19, which looks at solutions in the next 2 to 3 years?
So I assume this is referring to the rapid response COVID call.
I guess so, yeah.
Yeah, and I believe it says impacts should be, well, so the research projects are 12 to 18 months long, and I believe impacts are expected within that period as well. So I'm not quite sure where the 2 to 3 years figure has come from, although do correct me on that. Would I advise people to go for it? If you've got some research that you think is relevant to this call and will essentially help the national effort against COVID for that reason, then absolutely. But there are lots of other options for more kind of usual research projects.
Great. Okay. Well, thank you very much, Stephanie. Everybody has your email from the chat, so hopefully Great. They will follow up some things with you. And equally, you know, please, people still capture questions in the in the chat box. We can make sure those get to Stephanie even if she isn't online. We'll capture all the questions anyway, and let you all, everybody who's attended, be aware of them, so you can pick up questions later. So thank you very much, Stephanie.
Thank you for having me.
I hope the music's quietened down. We never heard it, but I thought telling you that might just make it more annoying for you, so I didn't.
Yeah, well, that's what the noise complaints officer said when I submitted a recording. She said, I can't hear it.
Sorry,
so
right.
It's a little frustrating, but I do understand.
Okay, it would have just wound you up more then, so sorry about that, right.
No, that's all right, thank you.
I hope it quietens down later.
Cheers.
Okay, so we have a brief